President Trump would like to have a diplomatic solution. That's the task that's in front of us. It's what we've been aiming for a little over 2 years now, with the strongest sanctions that have ever been put in place against this revolutionary regime.
So there's Secretary of State Mike Pompeo amid the growing tensions with Iran. What next in this? Tehran threatening all-out war in the event of U.S. or Saudi military strikes against Tehran. The U.S., meanwhile, deploying more troops to the region after the largest ever attack on Saudi Arabia's oil facilities. Retired Marine Colonel Dakota Wood, Senior Fellow at Heritage Foundation. Sir, it's great to have you here, and thank you for your time. When you listen to Mike Pompeo speak, it's as if they have moved Iran exactly to the place where they want to have them. Would you agree with that?
Yeah, I do. I mean, it's clear that Iran does not respond to anything other than force or the threat of force. So we can do all the diplomatic discussions we want to do, but unless it's backed up with a credible pain or the threat of that, we don't see any change in Iranian behavior.
So what is the appropriate response? We've been waiting on this now. We believe that there will be a lot of meetings in New York to figure out what that response is. What do you expect?
Sure. I do think there will be a lot of discussions because nobody wants war. I mean, Saudi Arabia would take a huge hit to its economy, a global interruption in the flow of energy, which raises prices for everybody concerned. So there is no good path down that war path. But again, absent this full court press, we continue to see Iran supporting terror groups, maintaining a dictatorial hold on its own people, threatening war. Certainly in the region. I mean, they attacked Saudi Arabia. Under what provocation, right? So I think this flow of forces to the region is good. I think a strong U.S. military presence is good. Assurance to the world community that we will guarantee the free flow of energy out of the Gulf region, and then maintaining these sanctions, because apparently they're the only thing that's really bringing Iran to the table, and we see this lashing out because of the economic pain that it's been causing.
You know, the Iranian foreign minister, he's been the public face of this, at least in this country, and really for the world. On CBS yesterday, he said this, sir.
We're ready to talk, but talk in terms of something that is not going to be valid only for the next 1.5 years or 5.5 years. We need to talk about something that is permanent, that would last. We already have an agreement. These were difficult negotiations. It wasn't just a 2-page document that we signed so that we could do another 2-page document.
So there's two things in there that are critical. He's saying there's a deal on the table already going back to 2015. And he's suggesting he will not even entertain a meeting with the president because he's afraid it might be some sort of photo op. Your take on that?
Yeah, well, the Iranians are scrambling, right? So they're trying to get back to a deal that they were willing to walk away from. It was a bad deal to begin with. It did nothing about Iranian support to terrorism, development of missile technologies, reported relationships with North Korea and maintaining a nuclear program. Evidence has come out since the deal was signed that they continued developments in that area, and certainly they weren't allowing access to military facilities and everything else. So flawed to begin with. The president was right to walk away. We're seeing the reaction where they're trying to get back to this agreement that they benefited, via $100 billion when we all signed it under the previous president.
I guess what you don't what you don't know, though, is what Iran does next. They've been pretty wily over the past 6 months. And Pompeo said that he lies all the time, meaning the foreign minister. Just last comment on that as you try and game out what Tehran does next, sir.
Yeah, and when that's just it, you can't really trust the words. You have to look at actions. And Iran's behavior is at the root of current U.S. policy. So the full pressure approach that the current administration is pushing is the right way to go. We need to get the Europeans on board with this so that there aren't any leaks in the system, like the French trying to find workarounds for the flow of money and banking transactions. So, again, I think this is the way we're going, and we'll have to see how Iran responds to it.
We shall. Thank you, Dakota Wood. Good to have you on today. Thank you, sir, for coming in.
Thanks, Bill.
You bet. 21 past now. Julie.